Hey there, I, the Big Bad Wolf, have gotten a few requests for this one, as my first Disney book and audio read-along on this channel of this year. It covers an important part of Walt Disney Animation Studios history, and not necessarily a good one, but I've gotten a few requests for this one, and given its noteworthy aspects, I figured it was worth a shot. Released 40 years ago on this day, on July 24th, 1985, The Black Cauldron. Yep, Disney's 25th full-length anime feature, and a very underappreciated and overlooked one, for good reason. For one thing, this is one of the most un-Disney-like of all the Disney anime movies, going for a dark fantasy story based on a novel by Lloyd Alexander. It doesn't have any musical numbers, some of the artwork and the sound environment are very different, and it's got scary and violent imagery that even makes Pinocchio look far tamer in comparison. And yes, I'm aware of the trailer for this movie appearing on the initial home video release of Pinocchio 40 years ago, featuring a bit of footage cut before it was released. Yes, my copy here does have the Black Cauldron trailer. It brings up another point, though. The Black Cauldron went through a long and troubled production throughout the early to mid-80s, as it was during Walt Disney Productions' first dark era. It cost $44 million to make, being the most expensive animated feature film produced up to that point, along with trying out new technologies like the animation photo transfer process and simple computer animation. Yes, this is the first Disney anime feature to use CGI, but it was kind of basic compared to the impressive CGI gears of Big Ben in their next movie, The Great Mouse Detective. It was also designed for 70mm Technorama photography and elaborate Dolby stereo sound. And these budget overruns were a factor in why Disney's CEO at the time, Ron Miller, left the position, and one of his successors, Jeffrey Katzenberg, demanded some of the really scary imagery be cut. And the film was delayed from its December 1984 release date to the summer of 1985 for some reworking. And unfortunately, none of that helped. It became one of the biggest box office bombs in Disney's history, and one of the studio's old shames. Think about this as being the Treasure Planet and Strange World failures of its time. But enough of this yakking. Let's see the pictures, hear the record, and read the book. On the label, they don't have any noteworthy characters. They just put a picture of the titular cauldron on the label of the disc. It's a polystyrene pressing. Fortunately, my phonograph here it's got a diamond stylus, so I don't have to worry.
This is the story of the Black Cauldron. You can read along with me in your book.
It's the late Chuck Riley narrating.
Page. When you hear the chimes ring like this.
At least that stayed the same.
Let's begin now. Legend tells of an evil king, so powerful that no prison could hold him. He was thrown into a pot of molten iron, and from this, a great black cauldron was formed. But even inside the cauldron, his spirit was strong, and his wickedness would not die. Whoever used the cauldron for evil would become all-powerful. With it, he could rule the world, or destroy it. On a farm in the country of Prydain,
there's some familiar Disney read-along stock music.
A bowl of mush in front of his pig, Henwen.
Ooh, Henwen sure looks succulent.
He could be a hero and fight great battles.
The wizard Dalbin watched as Taran swung an imaginary sword.
But Henwen is a special responsibility, Taran, for she is a magical pig.
Ooh.
And now the time has come to try her gifts.
Dalbin poured water into a bowl, and Henwen touched it with her nose. The wizard stirred the water.
Henwen, from you I do beseech knowledge that lies beyond my reach.
The water glowed, and a dark vision appeared within its depths. Dalton frowned.
Alas, it is as I feared. The evil horned king has learned about the Black Cauldron, and he wants Henwen's powers to help him find it.
Dalton urgently packed food and supplies into a knapsack.
Time for a quest.
Take Henwen to the hidden.
By these times, the read-along books, the pages had kind of a glossy finish.
Must not find her.
The boy and the pig fled into the woods. Taran picked up a stick and waved it in the air, fighting imaginary foes.
I'll protect you, Hen. I'm the greatest warrior in all Prydain. Take that, Horned King.
Suddenly he looked around. Henwen was missing. Taran ran through the trees.
Henwen, where are you?
Just then, something moved behind a bush.
Is that you, Hen?
Nope.
I've got
It's
something
the other
for you.
small animal-y
Lovely
character in the
juicy
film.
A furry little creature leaped from the bushes and grabbed the apple.
Oh, great prince! Have Porgy munchings and crunching.
Taran
It's
threatened.
using actual audio of him from the film's soundtrack.
Poor miserable Gurgy deserves fierce smackings and whackings.
It's a slight decrease in sound quality with his voice.
Suddenly, Taran heard Henwen. She was in trouble. Griffins, huge, horrible birds, were chasing her. Gertie jumped back into the bushes in fear, but Taran ran after the terrified pig.
This way, Hen. I'll save you.
The first Gwithin swooped down and knocked down the side. The other flew low over Henwen. Its claws opened wide and snatched her up. The Gwithins carried her off to the Horned King's castle.
Yeah, that overused modern thunderclap sound effect, as you've probably noticed. But this movie, Walt Disney Animation Studios began using a lot of new, digitally mastered sound effects to replace most of the ones they've been using for nearly half a century. I heard this had something to do with the new Dolby Stereo process, with sound editors finding vintage optical recorded sound effects heavily clashing with the newer sound quality and effects. Didn't stop the Great Mouse Detective the following year from using a lot of classic Disney sound effects, but that might have been because of its lower budget.
Dimly lit castle, Taran, a dreadful figure hidden in an evil mask.
In the actual novel, while the Horned King may have been wearing an elk mask, in this movie the Horned King wasn't wearing a mask. That skull was his actual face, like a darker and scarier version of Skeletor from Masters of the Universe.
Cauldron, or she will die.
But yeah, while the Great Mouse Detective mostly used the older sound effects, the next film after that, Oliver and Company, mostly stuck with the newer sounds, like this movie. It's the end of an era.
Taran tripped, splashing the water into the Horned King's glowing eyes. The evil one howled in pain. Taran grabbed Henwen and raced for the wall. The castle guards swarmed after him. Taran ran to the castle wall and pushed Henwen safely into the moat.
Swim, Henwen, swim.
He started to climb onto the wall. Creeper grabbed him roughly and dragged him back inside.
I caught the pig boy, Your Majesty. But I'm afraid the pig got away.
Of course, Creeper is like the comic relief villainous character, while Gurgy's the comic relief
Inside the
heroic
castle dungeon,
character.
Taran moped.
Some hero I am. I couldn't even protect a little pig.
Suddenly, a stone in the dungeon floor lifted open. A young girl, lit by a floating ball of light, climbed out.
I thought I heard someone. I'm Princess Alonwe.
Probably the most obscure of the Disney princesses.
Taran was embarrassed.
No.
I'm reminded of that I'm not Disney meme.
I was hoping you could help me escape. Well, come along.
Taran gladly followed her down the tunnel. Alonwe peered into a chamber.
This is the tomb of the good king who lived here before.
A mighty sword glittered on top of the old king's crypt. Taran snatched it up and slipped it through his belt.
He doesn't need this sword anymore. Maybe we can use it.
Alonwe was about to protest when someone howled in the next room. Taran gripped his sword.
Sounds like whoever it is trying to howl like a wolf.
A scrawny man was tied to a wall.
There's been a mistake. I'm not a spy.
I'm just Flute of Flam, a singer.
As Taran quickly untied him, a guard burst in.
That Disney read-along stop music track. How it was a short while where even their book and audio adaptations of their latest movies did not use the actual film score. The Great Mouse Detective did the same as well.
We've got you now, pig boy.
Taran slashed the drawbridge chain. The gate dropped between them and the guards. They were safely outside.
That was an abrupt way to end the first side of the record. So yeah, this was just a couple of years before Disney discontinued vinyl record read-alongs. Heck, by this time, their Voltron tie-in read-alongs were released exclusively on cassette. Disney Records was making way for the future, and in 1987 all the read-alongs would only be released on cassette. While that same year, they also released their first compact disc albums. To think, 40 years ago, compact discs were considered revolutionary, while today they're behind digital music streaming and even vinyl records again. I feel old. But just as things were changing with Walt Disney Animation Studios at this time, things were also changing with Disney Records. In fact, as you can see by the back of the book cover here, they were now called Disneyland Vista Records and Tapes. This and The Great Mouse Detective were the only regular Disney line read-along titles on the record to have this revised back cover, compared to all the cassette editions having it updated. Another sign of them getting ready to phase out vinyl. In fact, The Black Cauldron was the last movie in the Disney animated feature canon to have a storyteller album released on a vinyl LP, including a gatefold booklet with screen caps for the film and illustrations for them. Unusually, while the story album was released under Disneyland Records name, complete with the rainbow label, the movie score album was released by Vanessa Saravan. The Great Mouse Detective never had such a story album like this made, and by the time Auburn Company came out, they are now releasing such story albums on CD and cassette. But the Who Framed Roger Rabbit story album got an LP record release, in addition to CD and cassette, as Sam Valentino played for y'all a couple years ago. But of course, as the 1990s went on, storyteller albums like this eventually died out with home video eclipsing them. But let me turn the record over and we can finish the story.
Then...
There.
Fluter grinned.
Why didn't you tell me you had a magic sword?
Suddenly, Gertie jumped out of the trees and pulled Taran's sleeve.
Master! Remember, saw Piggy's tracks.
Sounded like a bit of sound editing there to put that master in there.
To some stepping stones.
Look, there are Henwen's footprints.
As Gertie started across, the water began to spin. Taran and the others tried to grab him, but the whirlpool swirled faster and faster, pulling them all in. The four companions found themselves underneath the lake, in the land of the fair folk.
That's an unusually lighthearted music track for such a scene.
We found you a pig, young man.
Taran hugged Henwen.
Oh, Hen, you're safe. At least for now, the Horned King won't be able to find the Black Cauldron.
The tiny king nodded.
That's right. The three witches have hidden it in the
Oh yeah,
marshes
one of those
all
is...
over.
Taran had an idea.
One of those is supposed to be a cameo of Tinkerbell, I recall.
Then the Horned King will never be able to use it.
King Idleleg appointed one of the fair folk to lead them.
It's time someone put a stop to the Horned King's destruction. Dolly will take you to the marshes.
Before long, they were standing in the witch's deserted cottage, but the cauldron was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, in a puff of flame and smoke, the three witches of Morva appeared.
Yep, that magic whirlwind sound effect you've often been hearing since the 90s also debuted in this movie.
We've come for the Black Cauldron.
The witches...
And these three witches actually do have kind of a classic Disney feel. Like a taste of what we'd soon get when the Disney Renaissance got underway.
They turned to the intruders.
We'll trade the cauldron for the sword.
Taran hesitated. With the magic sword, he was a great warrior. Without it, he was only an assistant pig keeper. Taran decided.
I offer my dearest possession in exchange for the Black Cauldron.
The sword vanished, and the floor began to tremble. Everyone rushed outside as the ground burst open, revealing the evil Black Cauldron. Taran struck it with a huge stick.
Quick! We must destroy it!
He had to use some CGI to animate the cauldron itself.
The Black Cauldron can never be destroyed, dearies. However, its evil powers can be stopped. It's simple. A living being must climb into it of his own free will. But the poor duckling will never climb out alive.
Taran was dejected.
I've failed. Without my sword, I'm nothing.
Ilanwe shook her head.
No, you are Taran, and that's enough.
Suddenly, the shadows of Glyphons passed over them. Gertie darted into the bushes.
How that line was featured in the trailer seen on the Pinocchio
The
VHS.
Horned King's henchmen. The guards took their prisoners and the cauldron back to the Dark Castle. The Horned King stood beside the cauldron, watching his henchmen bring in the skeletons of warriors long dead.
The evil power of the Black Cauldron is mine at last. I shall give you life, my soldiers, and you shall obey my every command.
He picked up the bones of a dead warrior and placed them in the cauldron.
I call on my army to be reborn. Arise, my messengers of doom. Our time has arrived.
A burst of flame shook the castle. A thick swirling green mist rose and billowed out over the edge of the cauldron, covering the skeletons. Taran and his friends watched in terror as the horrible, bony figures came to life.
Horrible bony figures, that's right. A bit of this footage was cut, but was still seen in the trailer on the Pinocchio VHS.
Never has anyone created an army like this. Go forth, my deathless warriors. Destroy all in your path.
Taran sighed hopelessly.
That's it, then. Verdane is doomed.
Don't say that.
Suddenly, something moved in an alcove above them. It was Gertie.
Master, Woody is sorry he always runs away when there's trouble. He will untie everybody. Then we won't leave this evil place.
Taran crawled onto a ledge directly above the cauldron.
No. I can do something right for once. I must stop the Horned King.
Gertie sprang in front of Taran.
No, Googie not let his friend die.
Before Taran could stop him, Gertie leaped into the cauldron.
A heroic
Began
sacrifice.
to shudder, drawing the horrible mist back into itself. The army of skeletons stumbled and collapsed to the ground. The Horned King turned on Taran in a rage.
Big boys, you've ruined everything!
But the swirling mists caught the wicked king and pulled him into the cauldron. There was a scream, and he was gone. Taran, Ilanwe, and Fluter found a boat and escaped to a distant shore as the castle crumbled around them.
The old collapsing layer trope. And then we get the Disney death
The
device
witches
here.
appeared before Taran.
We'll take the cauldron back now, Ducky. You can have your sword.
It hovered in front of him. Taran pushed it away.
What do I need with a sword? Yet I will trade. for Gertie.
The cauldron vanished. In its place lay Gertie. The boy tenderly lifted the lifeless, shaggy creature. Suddenly, Gertie reached for an apple.
Yet where it turns out to be alive and okay.
Joy.
The Horned King is dead. Prydain is saved, and all you care about is food. Come on, let's go home.
And there you have it. The read-along book and audio adaptation of The Black Cauldron, one of Disney's old shames. Like I said, it was their first animated feature to not have any vocal songs, which is why the record ended with the story concluding. Indeed, it was such a huge critical and financial failure. What was especially humiliating was that Nelvana's The Care Bears movie ended up making more money. The Black Cauldron could have even killed Walt Disney's feature animation division, had it not been for the modest success of The Great Mouse Detective the following year, convincing the Disney heads that their new animated features had a future after all. Yeah, this is the same VHS tape that was used for the Basil's Craziest Case YouTube poop. And then that, along with Oliver & Company, helped pave way for getting the Disney Renaissance started in 1989 with The Little Mermaid. But because Disney needed to save money after the failure of The Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective and Oliver & Company cost less to make, especially the former. Both even had their films printed by Deluxe as opposed to Technicolor. But with The Black Cauldron's failure, for a long time, Disney tried to keep it swept under the rug. There was barely any merchandise, and when Disney revamped their read-along line in 1991, The Black Cauldron went out of print. It didn't come out on video until the summer 1998, about 13 years after its theatrical release, in the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection. Even though I'd hardly call The Black Cauldron a masterpiece. Heck, it didn't even come out on Blu-ray here in the States until 2021, and it was a Disney Movie Club exclusive. And with that ending with the dissolution of Buena Vista Home Video last year, good luck trying to find a copy, as they're pretty expensive. Heck, even the read-along goes for some fairly high prices on eBay. As you probably guessed by that, despite Disney wanting to forget it, The Black Cauldron has a big fan base. They even gave a few characters cameos in Once Upon a Studio a couple years ago. Additionally, Disney's first animated TV series debuting that fall, Adventures in the Gummy Bears, took a bit of inspiration from The Black Cauldron, like a much more lighthearted and brightly colored version that was actually a fun and cute show, ushering in a new era of television animation. But I hope you appreciated this little Disney history lesson, like I've often given when you're viewing some of these book and audio read-alongs. So keep watching this YouTube channel to see whatever me, Zach Wolf, Sam Valentino, or the others do next.